Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. So today we're going live. I came on a little bit earlier than I said I was, just because I do like to go live to the public before I go to my members. And so today is all on the concept of waiting. So, waiting, if we're thinking about any decision that we can make, if we are making a decision, what's up, Jay? And hopefully, too, someone asked that I keep the chat live in the future ones. So, hopefully, I clicked the right setting to keep it there. So, welcome everyone in. If you're coming in, just say hi. So, remember, and I always want to talk about this idea of waiting, because waiting feels like it's something that really impacts us, but technically, waiting is just a decision like it is for anything else. If we're waiting for something to occur, if we're waiting for our specific person, if we're waiting for something to occur outside of us, then really we have to ask ourselves, who is really in power? What's up, Flowers? So, in this identity, the fact of us waiting is actually still a decision. So, if you wait, you have technically chosen waiting. If you think that you're waiting on your specific person to act something out or do something, what's up, Fantasia? If you're always waiting on them or thinking that there's going to be a proper time in which we can embody this state, we'll kind of be waiting forever, because the state that we're actually choosing is manifesting in the moment. We're choosing to be someone who doesn't have what we want, but then have our reality and think and assume that it should be different. But we don't manifest what we want, we manifest what we are. And so in this moment, just ask yourself, are you waiting? Do you feel like there's some power outside of you that is going to bring you what you want? And when you understand that there is no power outside of you, then when we think of time and think of the elapsing of time, because time is a huge topic I always like to talk about because everybody wants to know more about time. If you remember, time is actually just here because we're still making the decision to wait, right? Waiting, I would also describe, is a sense of forcing. If you feel you are forcing your reality, right? Forcing an outcome. If you are thinking, I'm going to wait until it changes, internally, what we're really doing is thinking that our reality needs to forcibly change regardless of what state we're in the moment. What's up, Wild and Free? Welcome, welcome. If this is your first live. So this is going to be the public or like everyone portion of the live. And then we're going to go into everything for the members. So I want to make this one, I kind of came on late, so probably about like 10 minutes or so. So I'll keep on this idea of waiting, because remember, it's kind of like sitting in a car with the engine on, but refusing to shift gears, right? We're thinking and assuming and wanting what we want, but we're not actually doing it or like embodying the state of it. We're still thinking that something outside of us is going to bring it to us or create it or enact it. But essentially, who can bring you what you want but yourself? And I know this idea of decision is really, really important and has been really dominant in a lot of these lives. And technically, that's all that there is. We are always just choosing. When someone manifests a text in the moment, they're just choosing that's their reality. They're not waiting. They're not thinking that something has to occur in order for this to happen, right? They're not waiting on anything but themselves. And when you understand that waiting is still a decision, then we'll realize and take kind of control of ourselves. So, does anyone in here feel like they're waiting? And it's funny because it'll be a state that we don't even realize that we're in. We're just thinking, oh, something is going to happen or something will occur. But is that actually the embodiment of someone who already has it? And the answer would essentially be no. If we already have it, we would not be if we already have it, we wouldn't be waiting for anything, right? It would always be, we would express it immediately. There wouldn't be a lack. There wouldn't be a waiting period. There wouldn't be a, oh, this needs to occur, because we know that it is just our logical mind thinking that things need to enact or overcome or continue in a state as to why then we're not acting that out. So always remember, if you feel like you're waiting, it's a choice. If you feel your specific person is here, it's a choice. If you feel that you're going to get this movement right here and right now, it's a choice. Waiting is still that act of forcing. We feel like we're forcing something. or feel like our reality has to do it for us. We're lacking or not taking responsibility for our current state and who we are. And so if we always remember, it is not our reality that brings it to us. Of course, our reality is going to bring a bridge of events, but that is, of course, in a production and essence of the state of the wish fulfilled. And that's what we need to keep in mind. It is us and our internal mental movement that create that outcome and nothing else. And so choose to be in the state now. Again, returning back to those previous ideas. What are we choosing in this moment? If we're not choosing our specific person, we must be then choosing something different. Jay wrote, can you go over manifesting a celebrity SP when doubt creeps in? So yeah, it's kind of in relation to like this idea is perfect for that, or for an idea that you feel is out of reach. So we mention or imagine a celebrity SP and we think, oh, there's nothing I can do. I need to wait for it. But that's still a decision. We're thinking that we need to wait, thinking that we're not someone who can make it happen, and feeling like someone who has no choice in the matter. What's up, Laura? Hopefully I did choose the right option so that we can see the chat in the future. But so it's just feeling like you are separate from the person who already has it. And that's why we feel that there's nothing to do, right? There is a lot of things to do mentally. Basically asking yourself, what would I do if I already had this? That's a great way to think of it, because waiting is a choice. If we say manifesting a celebrity SP is too hard, that's a choice. The act of waiting for something to happen outside of us, we're giving that power away. MacBook wrote, sometimes I feel like I'm waiting for my SP to do something. Exactly. I would say if we are not on this perfect alignment and allowing our mind to kind of guide us through the expression, then in essence, we're always going to be waiting. Wow, the free wrote, since your last live last week, I decided me and my SP are together. When thoughts come, I change them and do what you thought are taught. But I do feel in a way I'm waiting, no movement, especially. So yeah, it'll always be a sense of waiting. If we feel there's nothing to do, if we feel it isn't us and we lack responsibility on the fact that our reality is us, it's always going to feel like we're waiting no matter what. Fantasia wrote, I used to wait for an apology to no avail. Exactly. If you're waiting for something, you cannot be the person that already has it. Because if you already have it, there's nothing to wait on. If you know that your power and your reality is a perfect mirror, it's like waiting in the mirror thinking that something is going to change. So always ask yourself, would what I'm doing in this moment relate to me? And if I were waiting in a mirror or looking in a mirror, waiting for my mirror to change my shirt, would it persist or relate to what I'm doing right now? And a lot of the time we'll think, yes. We're thinking our specific person needs to do something or change or alter before then we'll believe it. And that's where the waiting comes in. When we're waiting, again, we're choosing a previous state. That's all we're doing. We're just choosing not of the state that we want and choosing of the state that we don't want. So for Fantasia, don't wait for an apology. Be the person who gets an apology and then move on and so forth. So when we move to the members live, I have a couple different ideas that I think will be perfect for that. But always remember, there's no such thing as waiting. If you're waiting, you're just waiting on the ability for you and yourself to feel and be perceived or think of yourself as the person that has it. That's actually the waiting. It's like how in time is just a learning device. Time is actually just appearing and existing so we can give ourselves our excuse that we're moving into it. If you feel you're waiting on a text, you're giving your power away. If you feel you're waiting on a phone call, you're giving your power away. If you feel like you're waiting on an apology, you're giving your power away. Who then can exist, or how can people react to us other than the way in which we're showing up in our embodiment? That's what we need to remember. So only now is the acceptable time. And if you think about it in relation to the now, you would say, we can only ever experience now. So when we're thinking of being with our specific person, it can only be here in this moment. What's up, Liv? I think there's a couple questions. So I spent December with my SP, thought I was pregnant. Looked at baby clothes with him. I love that. Doting on me, was imagining daily married life. He asked my ring size. When I trip with his friends, everything was great and fine. He blindsided me January 2nd, broke up over text. He was going to cut me out of his life. what identity could have caused this 180? So usually it's small things. So it's kind of these small things that kind of amplify, or in the idea of, oh, this is going to work, or when we're thinking my reality is giving me what I want, we sometimes give all the responsibility to our reality and then forget that it still is us. So it still is always going to be you, right, creating it. And so it's going to be those small thoughts that happen or the small actions that kind of work against it. If we think of what happened and we say, oh, I was blindsided, if we really look back, we think, oh, there was a few things happening, right? Like maybe you and your SP, you were assuming something different upon them, or I'm thinking of them in a certain way, or thinking of someone who always argues or something like that. We're always going to have specific ideas and specific assumptions on our specific person that then are the reason this happens. But remember, it's not that it's something, oh, this small thing happened and changed it. It's actually a bunch of small things that add up, and a consistency and persistence in that idea actually caused it then to be created. So the best part about that is you're in an amazing state to then return back to that. If you've already been in the state, it's easy to jump back into it. Stephanie wrote, Kyle, I went from super chat girl last week to member this week. I love that. My weekend success is my celebrity SB liked my DM. I'm going to a show, and he replied, thank you. Perfect. So that's awesome. W's in the chat for that, which kind of goes or relates to the question earlier of, okay, how do we manifest an SP or a celebrity SP when doubt creeps in? Doubt is still a choice. In the same way, if we're choosing doubt, it is a choice. If we're seeing and experience doubt, it's just what we're picking. So think of it in the way of waiting is also a decision. If you're waiting, you can't be in your end state. And so two, because I have until the end of the hour for everyone else, I'm going to start the members only in 5 minutes. So I'm going to start that because I'm going to switch over. So in 5 minutes, we're switching over to the members. There's a couple other things I want to make sure. But always in this moment, if we're thinking again, continuing, and I know I talked about this for the members. So if you want to join in for the rest of the live and hear a couple more ideas. So the next, or the couple ideas we're going to be talking about, is the mirror moves second. So your reality is always in this reaction. And then the second one is be still and know. So stillness and the purpose of that, and kind of creating the outcome that we want. So it's more of like a Neville Goddard, Bible Abdullah sort of concept. Well, the free wrote, so if we are seeing no movement, change the thoughts to the one we want, especially no contact. So yes, but the idea is always, if we're seeing no movement, we're just not aware of it. When we say that nothing is happening, again, that's still a choice. Like, I know it sometimes is really hard to totally accept, but the fact is, if we are in the state, you will always see movement of it. If you feel you're waiting and not seeing movement, you are in a state of waiting, which is a state of forcing. And so we need to change that. If you're saying I'm seeing no movement, technically, again, still that's a choice. And you would say, okay, well, then choose the state in which you do see movement. And I know it sounds strange, and the answer kind of comes very effortlessly as a result of that. But as we choose an identity and are someone, our reality kind of speaks to us immediately in order to act in that way. There's no possibility of seeing no movement. There's just a reality and the illusion that you're not seeing the movement that you want. And I know it sounds strange at first. And huge shout out, thanks everyone for liking the stream. It sounds strange, and no one believes me. No one believes me when I say that until they act it out. Kind of like if you keep a success journal, or you start to focus on being the person that you want, because we think, our logical mind thinks that by assuming and thinking of a state of where's my success, I'm going to get success, but that actually puts us in a state of not having success, right? Like waiting is kind of that same concept, waiting for this outcome, waiting for it to occur, waiting for it to happen. The more we're just waiting, the more we're actually in a state of choosing that. Who are we waiting on but ourselves? If there is no movement, who is causing the movement? Is our reality happening to us, or are we happening to our reality? That's the best way to think of it. What's up, Cheeto? What's up, Hej? And Ray wrote, or I think you mentioned your name was something else, but Ray wrote, so I'm going to keep it short and simple. Recently got into a situationship with SP. We took things slow, got time to get to know each other better, but he had trust issues, and I knew that. That's, again, a label. When we're labeling our reality in a certain type of way, it is the same as waiting. In this moment, and think of actually of that connection. In that moment, we're probably thinking, I have to wait for the trust issue to change. I have to wait for them to alter this. I have to wait for them to change. But you're not waiting on anything. It's still you. It's your in this moment, in this choice, in order to kind of enact it. But I'll talk for my members in like part 2 of this. We'll talk more deeply. And I need to change the times too, only because I kind of messed up with the timing today. So it's going to be kind of a quicker live. Usually I stay for like 30 minutes and 30 minutes, but it's a waiting. When we think that things are showing up against us, it's actually just, again, we're giving energy and attention to it. In the same way, I know, and hopefully everybody understands this, I think of waiting as forcing. If we're waiting for something, we're forcing it. We got about 60 seconds. So if you do want to hop in for the rest of the members stream, make sure to join. I think you can always hop in at any time, or you'll always see it in the future if you join later. Let me kind of answer these questions. So remember, if you're waiting, you're trying to force your reality to change without changing yourself. You're not, as Neville would say, dying to the old state. We are just assuming and picking a state that we do not desire. And so with this all being said, I know we got about 30 seconds. And in the future, I want to make these lives much longer. But if you did have any questions on this, want to become a member and join in for the rest of the live, again, make sure to become a member. If you did want to reach out for me for coaching or personal questions, if you want me to walk you through it, if you want to end this waiting and be with your SP, head over to kyleaugustcoaching.com. But if not, I'll see everyone who's not. I think the members will immediately join, but I'll see everyone else soon.